Hey, 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 all you cool cats and kittens. This is Randy Fischel, also known as Star Thinker on the Valentine Goose channel. Um, I was watching a lot of videos last night, and I watch a lot of UFO videos. I know everything there is to know about UFOs videos. In fact, I'm declaring myself a UFO expert. Um, but I have a story to tell, and it concerns with maps. First of all, I want to notice that there's a winter South Carolina, or South Dakota, I'm sorry, winter South Dakota. And if you look at the picture, it's just people standing in a field and one lone tree way in the back. But this concerns a little place right here. And I want to give you the layout of the land. There we go. So this is where I used to be stationed. Let me move it down here. And I'll zoom in some more. But I just want to point out that this is Needham Market. And the base we're going to is like over here somewhere. I was like one of the farthest people that lived off base. Most people either lived on base or they lived in Ipswich, but I lived in Needham Market. It was kind of cool because like we were the only Americans in the area, so we were kind of like everybody wanted to invite us to their cookouts and stuff. So let's see, Woodbridge, Sutton Hoo. I gotta find this here. Da, 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 Woodbridge, RF Woodbridge, former. Okay, now I'm going to turn on. Yeah, that is former Woodbridge, and there is Bentwaters. But what I'm concerned with, see if I can find it again. I always have trouble finding this. Oh, right here. This is what I want to talk about. Butley Priory. Now, this isn't the Priory. This is the gatehouse. Um, when I would drive in from Needham Market, I was always early, and I'm talking like an hour early. So what I would do is I would drive these back roads and try to kill the time. And I learned these back roads pretty well. And this was during the daytime. At night, because I usually worked the night shift in the Air Force, I would come out here at night, and this is what would happen. If you look here, this road here is called the Clumps, and it goes through this really old section of forest. This is all like oak trees and just really old forest. There's a little trail that comes down here and a little cutoff here that goes over here. And I don't even think you can see that. I guess you can. So at night, I would drive down here and I knew the Butley Priory is there. And the Priory itself is in ruins back in this area. But right here, what they're calling Butley Priory on the map is the gatehouse. And the gatehouse when I was there was in ruins. It was just this big building and a bunch of grass, tall wheat-like grass, and then there was none of this fancy landscaping around here because now they've fixed it up and made it a bed and breakfast. But let me show you something. Let's see if I go over here. This is my view from the road. Other way. So you can see it right there. That's the Butley Priory. I don't know if I can zoom in on it. That's the gatehouse, and you can see that there's a large gate and then a small gate. But they fixed this all up and made it a bed and breakfast. But one thing I learned, I don't know if we can get a better view of it. One thing that happened to me, you can't even see it there. See how narrow this road is? I guess that was the best view of it right there. No, back. 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 Why don't you go back? There we go. I guess, I don't know if I can inch ahead. Nope. Anyway, that's the gatehouse. Let me go back one more. That's the gatehouse, and that's pretty much the view you see in your car. You can just see over the bushes, and you can picture this like in ruins in a field. And the first time I went past this at night, I'm coming up the road. I'm coming up this road because this road here takes a sharp turn. This is all driveway and stuff, but this road takes a sharp turn here, and then I turn here to head towards the gate of the base. And I tell you what, every time at night I'd get on this road, this feeling, and I'm not afraid to admit this. I'm secure enough in my manhood to admit this, but this feeling of terror would grip me. And I don't mean any specific thing, just a feeling of terror. And it was bad. And then once I got down here, that feeling would go away. And it was like the strangest thing. And so every night I would challenge myself. I'm like, okay, this time I'm going to go past the Butley Gatehouse. Um, and I'd get up there and nope, I'd get that feeling of terror. It got so bad that I could not go on either of these roads. And I pretty much avoided that area at night. At daytime, I could drive past it and not feel a darn thing. At night, I would drive past it. Oh, terror. Um, I did go down this road once to try to. I think it was a little bit different back then, but I went down this road to see the ruins up close at night. And I got a little ways down it, and that feeling of terror gripped me. And this is a narrow road. I mean, it's wide enough for one car. And I threw the car in reverse, and I like backed up all the way down to here and whipped around and took off. I was driving backwards like as fast as I can. I had a DAF 66. Google that. It's got a variable speed transmission that's belt driven. It's got belts. And yeah, I had that little car floored in reverse just going down this road, just hoping I don't hit anything. Um, but yeah, and then as soon as I got out on this road and turned around, it was gone. Feeling of terror was gone. And I could never explain it. The last time, when I was short and heading towards home, I thought, oh, I'm going to do it one more time. And nope. That I was like, I'm going to drive past it. I did manage to drive up here and drive down here, but that feeling just gripped me. It's just like terror. I can't explain it no other way. It wasn't being scared. It wasn't nervousness. It wasn't uneasy feeling. It was terror. Like I couldn't see straight. And that's not the end of the story. So, like I said, I'm watching these UFO shows, and if you know anything about UFO shows, you know that this is RAF Woodbridge, and up here, I'll shrink it down a little bit more, is RAF Bentwaters. Now, RAF Woodbridge, if you go out here, there's the East Gate, and if you come right here, that's where the Rendlesham landing took place. Oh, look, they put a little thing there. I wonder if I click on that, if I can make it bigger. Look at that. Oh, no, my big fat head's in the way. Do, 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 do. They put this little thing here. That is very funny. Oh, now my big fat head's in the way the other way. Boop, boop, de boop, de boop. So apparently that's what it looked like. Any other cool pictures? They actually got a trail set up, blah, blah, blah. Oh, people dabbing. Do people dab anymore? Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I realized that this feeling of terror I had going past the Butley Gatehouse, here's where the UFO landed, and here's the field that they saw a lot of activity take place. And as you can see, that's about where the ruins of the actual abbey would be, or the priory. Um, I'm not sure if I could find a map where the actual ruins were. I always thought they were behind this farmhouse, but I've watched enough Time Team to know that that's the gatehouse, and the priory must have been like right back here, and then this would have been the houses that supported the priory, the nunneries, and the whatever was in there. Um, but yeah, I don't know what one has to do with the other. When I was at Mount Waters, um, people made fun of these people all the time. Oh yeah, those are the guys that saw the UFO, and they didn't believe it. No one believed it, and they pretty much said that was it. They went out, they saw lights, they saw UFO, and they came back. And that was the only story you heard on base. You didn't hear anything about the molten, dripping lava and the symbols on the side and Peniston touching it and seeing ones and zeros and writing them down later, and they just happen to be, binary code that can be translated in English. Um, yeah, it just didn't. Oh, look at right here. Second UFO with three entities. Right there in the field. Um, yeah, that was quite the thing. And the one I watched tonight was Peniston and who's the other guy? Not Colonel Holt. The other one, the other sergeant that went out there. Um, or no, Airman. Can't remember. But yeah, I was watching the show where they actually went back to visit this, and I thought, oh, that's cool. They first started out at Bentwaters. There's Woodbridge and Bentwaters. And I used to work in the bomb dump there, which is this area here. This was the non-nuclear munition storage area, and this was the nuclear. Yeah, we had nukes there. Um, and my job was to come in here like once a week and inspect the nukes and take care of anything that needed to be done out here. I wonder if there's any. Nope, the picture stopped right here. So anyway, if you come up here, boom, 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 that's the east gate right here. And they drove out here. I don't know if they would have driven out here or just walked from that point, but oh look, there's a car park there now. So yeah, this is Britain's biggest UFO case behind Roswell. I see this more than any other UFO case. Um, but yeah, it was kind of fun. Now, when I was there, I wish I had known because I heard people talking about UFOs and joking. And right here, let me get back. Do, 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 do. So I had driven a forklift one night, and I told this story like a couple of videos back, but um, this was our office right here. So there was tomfoolery going on, and I didn't want any part of it that night. I just wasn't in the mood. So I drove my forklift. You had to drive down here, through the gate, and I drove it all the way here because this was the building we were working in that night. And my forklift was parked right here, nice and dark. And I looked up and I saw all the stars, and I was trying to remember the constellations because I did take a class in astronomy. And there was these three bright stars that formed a triangle, and I couldn't place them. I'm like, okay, that's a planet, that's Jupiter, blah blah. This is the azimuth, so all the planets would be in this line. So it's not a planet. They're not moving. They're not satellites, and I couldn't figure it out. And while I was watching, the three lights rotated a full circle and then shot off to the horizons. And that has stuck with me the rest of my life. That changed my life that night because I knew I saw something that will never be explained. Um, and for years I had nightmares of the sky, looking up at the sky in my dream, and the stars would start squealing. Oh, what is this? Not now. And yeah, it was just terrible. Uh, and I still, to this day, every once in a while, I have a dream where it's just a normal dream, and for whatever reason, I'll look up and see the stars, and the stars will start swirling. And if the stars are swirling, that's like the whole universe out there. And you think about the time it takes light to get to Earth and how the stars must have started swirling together. And, you know, that was something that must have happened millions of years ago, and the light's just reaching us. And anyway, it would be a nightmare fuel for me. But yeah, I did see a UFO, and it just happened to be at Aria Bentwaters. Um, but I saw that and I thought, oh, that was interesting. Um, because when they were showing the map, um, they were showing the map, and I was like, wait a minute, that's where the Butley Priory was. And yeah, it's a beautiful bed and breakfast now. What I would love to do if I ever had money is I hear a kid crying, I think, or a cat. Um, what I would love to do is go there and stay and see if I could say it's a bed and breakfast, but it's a big wedding venue. They set the grounds up to be a wedding venue, and I'd love to just go there. And there's all these rooms. I just wondered if I could. I couldn't drive past it at night, but I wondered if I could stay in it at night, knowing what I know now, because I've watched every ghost video on YouTube. I've seen them all, and nothing phases me these days. But yeah, I would love to go back there and just see if that feeling of terror would come back, or if I could spend the night there, um, and then go out to the field and look for UFOs. Let me do a measure distance here. Measure distance. Oh shoot. So let's say right in there in the middle, and then to the Butley Priory. So it's less than a mile, 3,600 feet. Um, so yeah, that's not that far. The lighthouse is way down here. You can see this is the shore, and people were like, "Oh, it was probably the Orford Lighthouse, which is right here." And there's no way. I mean, they said they saw it come through the trees, drip the molten things. One theory I had was that there was um, a Russian satellite making re-entry that night, and they saw the light from the lighthouse, went out to investigate. The satellite came through, which would have split up and looked like molten stuff dropping. But it wasn't until years and years later that he said, "Oh yeah, we touched it, and there was hieroglyphics on the side, and I saw these ones and zeros." And later, somebody put it through a binary decoder, and it came out to GPS coordinates that said "Help mankind." And the GPS coordinates, I didn't save it, but the GPS coordinates go right in this area somewhere. Um, and people said there used to be an island out there. You can see this is like a continental shelf. What's really cool is if you zoom in here, you can see like where a river or something used to flow down here, and it's under the sea. Um, but yeah, they said this used to be some kind of island that's not there anymore, but that's where the GPS coordinates take you. Um, but woo doo 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 doo. That's my little story. That's would explain the UFO I saw. I mean, it wouldn't explain the UFO, but that kind of puts it into context. Um, I spent a lot of time just driving every little trail that's back here, but I could not go past that priory. Um, it was just too much for me. Um, and there's a row of shops or something up here. I think it's up here. Yeah, right there, I think. There's houses, and there was a couple shops there. Um, but yeah, that was a time in my life I just wish I'd known, because back then there was no internet, there was no YouTube, there was no nothing. Um, so only word of mouth said, "Hey, some guy saw a UFO." I did like just about the time I left to come back to the States. There was a book about the UFOs, um, which had a lot of misinformation. I was reading it, going, "Oh, this is misinformation, and this is misinformation, misinformation." So the book like made me a skeptic for a long time, because they're saying, "Oh, we saw this missile truck come out," and the truck they took a picture of was the dummy target. because the planes would take off and they'd lock in on this dummy target till practice. They're locking in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we took pictures of this truck at night." I think there was just the author must have known that dummy truck used to be parked like right here, and they said, "Yeah, it drove out to the runway and all this stuff," and it was just like it was an old truck that was broken down, so it was no use. And they took drums, 55-gallon drums. I think they're 55-gallon, and they welded them together, and then they put fins on one end and a cone on the other end, and they put three of these on the back of this truck, and it's just like welded right to the cab of the truck. But they had a picture of that in the book saying, yeah, this on the night in question, this truck came out, and it appeared and disappeared several times, and it had missiles on the back, and so we think they were defensive. No, it was a dummy truck, but that made me a skeptic for a long time. And then right here, let me zoom out a little bit. This whole loop, and then this whole loop. When I was there, that was under construction, and they started the construction around the time that the UFOs were seen. So naturally, they were building an underground base for UFOs. Um, but yeah, that always brings back memories. Um, they had these things. God, what did they call them? Anyway, they parked planes here to get them off the base. They figured if the base was bombed and they had the planes all hidden out here in the woods, no one would hit them. Um, Another interesting fact is if you look here, these are planted forests. You can see these forests are in rows. These are pine trees. And when the vortex storm went through, I think it was 84 or 85, the runway was covered in pine trees. That's how bad that storm was. They couldn't get any airplanes off the ground or land. We had to land at Rendlesham, not Rendlesham, at I can't remember the name of the other base, um, but like 80 miles away and bus ourselves in because this runway just covered in pine trees. That storm was so crazy, it pushed all these pine trees onto the runway. Um, yeah, we were in Germany, and all we heard was the storm went through, and there was no power, there was no nothing. People were talking about houses collapsing and stuff, so we were like, we got to get home. So we hopped on a C-130 that was headed towards, oh God, I almost had it. I almost had the name of the base. But anyway, we got there and we had to bus ourselves in, and when you're busing in, to clear the highways, they just like sawed down each side of the highway. So it was just like stumps for miles and miles, just barely wide enough for two cars to get by. Um, but yeah, that was another thing that happened there. But yeah, I'd love to go back if anyone's got a couple $1,000 to give me. uh, I only have like 1,000 miles on my credit card. It's brand new. But yeah, I'd love to go back and see. I'm not feeling anything right now. If you go to the site, come on, clear measurement. There's a web page. Where's the web page? And look, it's been made into this beautiful wedding venue now, and um, it's just gorgeous, and it's this big old. Come on, look out. Big old, and that's just the gatehouse to the priory. So you can imagine what the priory itself looked like. Um, they fixed up the inside of it. My big fat head's in the way. Oh, they're going to put them all on that side, aren't they? Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, here's some interior shots. Um, I mean, it's just gorgeous in there now. I just wondered, like, if I could spend the night there. I don't know how many rooms there were. They only got a couple rooms, the Butley Priory. What's a place to stay in Suffolk? So there's three Super Kings and one single. I'd stay in the single, and I'd probably explore every inch I could because I'm into history and stuff. But yeah, um, oh look at that staircase! Woohoo! Yeah, I'd be exploring everything if I could stay there overnight. I don't know. That feeling of terror might come over me again, but I've never been able to explain that. And I was stationed there for what, 3 years, 3.5 years, and in that whole time, couldn't. I mean, there was a whole year where I didn't go past it, and I'd be like, I wonder if I can drive past that Greg house again. Might have been something in my head, but I'd get on that road and I'd get close to the gatehouse, and I'd be just like, oh my God, I've just got to get out of here. I am just terrorized. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I love that staircase. Can you make these bigger? It says I can, but it's not. Anyway, I wonder where that goes up. Maybe one of these towers. Oh, look at that entryway. Oh, here's one of the bedrooms right here. So anyway, that's my story. And I know you were all expecting a completely different video, but no, that's it. Oh, this might be the single, because look at how the bed fills the entire room from wall to wall, and it's up against the window. That's interesting. Oh God, I would love to stay there. So yeah, Christmas is coming up. My birthday's coming up just before Christmas. But that's my video. I'm going to wrap it up. Uh, I didn't do this live because I didn't want to do it live. Uh, but yeah, I know you guys were expecting something completely different because of other things going on. The little war between throwing my book out and myself. um, wow. Anyway, I gotta go, and thank you for listening.